minutes away from when SpaceX, a record-breaking IPO, will open for trade. We'll keep you guys updated.
Yahoo
What's
Finance only
happening
shows
right
1
now?
to
We see
35.
this
What am I doing
crowd,
wrong? They're
these are
just posting the
employees.
IPO price.
It's majority of employees from SpaceX who are crowding around the NASDAQ IPO trade desk. And you have two executives here from the NASDAQ. They're part of the IPO listings team. They're walking through what's happening minute by minute and the indicative price. I can just look over here and see that, again, we're expecting $150 a share. We have Adina Friedman, the CEO of the NASDAQ, because, as I said, we are expecting the stock to open very soon here. We are a matter of just a minutes away, and people are sort of crowding around, looking over at his screen to understand where we're at.
And what is taking place right now? I mean, what does it take to open a stock of this magnitude?
Yeah, so it's...
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix, you can...
You know, the challenge and the opportunity here with SpaceX is it's such a large IPO, 556 million shares. No exchange in the world has ever worked on an IPO like this. But I think the idea that this stock is going to open very soon tells you that the book-building process is going very well. They're being able to match shares and sell orders and buy orders very effectively. And just minutes away here as they put together and firm up the book with the indicative price at this point, I'm just looking over my shoulder right now, at $150 a share right now, Sarah.
Golly.
Indication come down from about 174 earlier this morning, now back to 150. Watching very closely. All systems appear to be quite go, as they say, Sarah. And as we've been watching and listening to Musk in Texas today, it is a reminder that, as we said with Kramer, company's 24 years old, almost a quarter century, more than, I think, 13,000 employees who have been waiting a long time. You forget how long ago the initial disruptive technological innovations like Falcon really were.
Well, Elon said it himself very well, where he said, you know, it's hard to believe that this little company that I started would be the largest IPO ever. He said, if people told me this was going to happen, I was like, man, you must be smoking some really good crack because this company is going to fail, he added. Well, clearly,
here we go.
Not. Biggest IPO ever here. And you know, it's grown. Majority of the revenue today is derived from Starlink, of course, the satellite company of communications, and there are all sorts of projections about what that could mean for the telecom business, and a little bit from XAI as well. Obviously the AI company that competes with others, like an Anthropic, even though it does a deal in business where it sells compute basically to these big players, these hyperscalers, Google as well. But ultimately, it's a future bet, right, on the businesses, including the Starship business, the launch business, that it will be able to do this in a cost-effective way and a profitable way that will change how we think about
second. Buckle up.
Interact with space and whether we're able to go there, as Elon Musk himself said this morning.
When does it go live?
In a few seconds. And the moon. And
in a few
not just cost effective, but in the words of Wolf, which of course initiates today, outperform 175, near zero launch costs, which in their words creates one of the biggest moats in the history of American and global business. Seema, you got something?
Yes, Carl and Sarah, the latest indicative range is 150. I did hear a NASDAQ executive say 146 again. So we're at the
last call. They're getting ready. Here we go, folks. Let's go. This is it. You're about to see. You're about to see it. About to see a little bit of history.
To get a sense of where we are before we get the opening trade. Again, I'm looking at the screen right now. It says 150, so that seems to be where we'll be open. But we are getting very close here as executives just pull around this IPO trading desk to get a sense.
Let's see. Is the biggest IPO in history going to be a success or a failure?
Yeah, we're just listening in. I guess they're explaining it to the employees and investors there, Seema. Just tell us again the indication on the price as we're about to open.
Okay. Indication price right now is 150. I'm looking at the screen. That's where it seems to be at.
Hyperlink was at 158.
I did hear say 146, but what the screen is showing is 150. But again, this is a book building process that involves a highly technical process working simultaneously. Agent, which is Morgan Stanley, to get these trades firmed up and all the buy and sell orders matched. And again, we are getting very, very close.
Meantime, we're starting to get some activity, say, on social media. David Solomon of Goldman Sachs tweeting a moment ago, congratulating SpaceX, reminding folks that Goldman and Elon's relationship goes back some 15 plus years. Goldman also posting some photos with the words "Go for launch" of their bankers and traders
live.
wearing green shoes.
We're live.
Everybody's in the green
Here it
shoes.
is, 150.
Important element of today's
Coming out of the gate at 1.
So there you go. We're live. We went live at $150 a share. History in the making. SpaceX goes live at $150 a share. It's already back up to 162. And I actually have, so I have a spreadsheet open. I made a sort of, I'll call it a cheat sheet. At $150 a share, it was a $1.9 trillion market cap. At 164, I did this per dollar, increments of $1. At 164, it's a $2.1 trillion market cap. But we are officially alive. SpaceX is now a public company. Technically, they're selling 4% of the company, so again, a relatively small float. It's a small float, but a huge IPO. So sometimes when you have a small float, the companies, the stock price pops pretty high pretty quick. But because it's a huge IPO in terms of dollar amount, they're trying to raise $75 billion. So it's still a small float, but a huge IPO in terms of dollar amount. So it might not necessarily get the huge pop that it could get. Just because of the pure amount of liquidity that needs to go into something like this. So at 160, we're at a $2.06 trillion market cap. So yeah, we're at a $2 trillion market cap of 159. At 159, we are 159. We're at 2.05. The key move here is 155. At 155, we are below $2 trillion. So initially they were pricing this at $135 a share. It ended up opening at $150 a share. And like I said, specifically, so I bought the 2.4 at, I had already sold out of the 2 trillion and the 2.2. The 2.4, like I said, I would try to exit this right away at open. 161. So I did say I would exit the 2.4 pretty much right away. It's almost at exactly my price. There's probably a huge spread here. It already started to get filled, 81 cents. My reason for it, I said I didn't want to hold on to the 2.4 if it rips higher than 2.4, I think you get a bigger spike towards the 2.6, and I already put a small prediction in up higher at the 2.6. I also have the 2.4 technically in my other trade, between 2 trillion and 2.5 trillion, and that was a bigger position, so I didn't need to hold on to the above 2.4 trillion. So that's why I wanted to exit this pretty much right away at open. We're at 166, which puts us at a market cap of 2.14 trillion, and it's going green on the candle. So on Hyperliquid, I think at its high, this got around all the way up to $207. I believe it was $207 to $230. I actually think it was $230. So if it gets anywhere close to the 200 range, at $200, it's a market cap of 2.5 trillion. And that's what we're predicting on right now. It's everything. It's all based on market cap. All my predictions are market cap by the end of the day, so this still has a lot of time. Most of them I will sit and let ride. Some of them I'll sit there and see, I'll try to exit specifically the 2.4. I now have my sell order in. It's down to 21 cents, so this one technically is in a loss. It already took some profits at 28 cents. I really do find that the thing that's interesting about this is how accurate Hyperliquid was before the actual listing went live. The fact that we're at $165 a share, and that's sort of around where Hyperliquid has been hovering, between 150, 170. Yeah, the highest it went was 230. So at 166, this is still sitting there open. I think this is going to be pretty volatile throughout the day. I do still have my downside covered. I bought the under 1.8 trillion, which leaves my between 1.8 and 2 trillion sort of exposed. It's the one place of the market. It wasn't necessarily there was one no good trade for 1.9 trillion. But if it does land in the 1.9 trillion, that's where my most exposure is. Above 2 trillion, I'm fine. Above 3 trillion, I'm not fine. That would be where my second most exposure is. But everyone in I would say the media narrative, no one was willing to say if they would buy or sell Tesla. There was maybe one person that said I was putting in $1 billion order. But most people in the media were pretty negative on the market cap or the valuation SpaceX was going public at. But at the same time, they were all going, SpaceX, the valuation is crazy, which it might be crazy. But they were all saying then, but would you sell it? And the answer to it is, I wouldn't short Elon Musk. I wouldn't sell against the founder. So they weren't willing to buy and they weren't willing to sell. So I think interestingly as well, some people, if they had exposure to SpaceX already, they could have potentially used, like at $230 a share on Hyperliquid, they could have used Hyperliquid to lock in their profits. So I think there was definitely some smart money out there that went and locked in profits at $230 a share. And I say that mainly because the most liquid or the most traded on Hyperliquid for SpaceX was actually short positions. So I think people went to lock in their positions ahead of time. It's actually one of the reasons why I think this might be pretty stable. I think I just said it's going to be very volatile, but I think there was a lot of pre-trading action on things like Hyperliquid, on perpetuals, on even on prediction markets. So the 163 to the 160 to 165 might be the range. And at 165, it's a 2.1 trillion market cap. Oof, that dropped hard. See, the prediction market's already saying that it is gonna stabilize. So I have the 2 trillion to 2.5 trillion here. I also have the 2.5 to 3 trillion. If the 1.5, I think in the first video I said if the 1.5 to 2 trillion gets a little bit cheaper, closer to the, like I said 5 cents, but I say 5 to 10 cents range, then I would potentially start adding to that one as well. Because I'm at 50, 64, I'm at 64 cents total right now. I don't think I did that properly. Probably should have had an order set. So I could have just sold out of this sooner, quicker, faster. I knew I wanted to sell out of it, but I should have set an order. And so it just should have just gotten filled, but I didn't. With 4 hours left in the day, if this ever gets down to like even the 2-cent range, I'll probably just buy some just as I'll call it the lottery ticket, the 2.4. Even the 2.2 right now above at 159 a share. Still 2 trillion. 159 is 2.05 trillion. Where does it switch to 2 trillion? 2.2. At 170 to 171, it switches to 2.2 trillion. So there you have it. We're live. SpaceX is now a publicly traded company. The way I look at this is it feels like it's been a publicly traded company for the last year. There are people trading stock positions that owned SpaceX. The perps have been live for a month. So it is historic that SpaceX is now live, but I also do feel like that people were able to get exposure to this some time ago. Which kind of makes it a little anticlimactic, and based around all the sort of hype and news around it, and people like this is supposed to be a retail stock, and everything was pushing it towards retail stock. Although everyone on most of the media sources were a little bit negative towards the valuation. Sometimes that forces people to actually buy. They go, oh, they're gonna be wrong, so we're gonna buy in. So I'd be curious to know the metrics at the end of this, so the retail metrics. People also say that it is an early stage company. They have been around for 25 or 27 years. I forget how long it is, but it's in the 20 plus years that SpaceX has existed for. But yeah, we're at 161. We're at 161. At 170, this turns into 2.2 trillion of market cap. And here's an interesting one. Based on how many shares Elon Musk owns, will he become the first trillionaire? His net worth by June 30th right now is 97% above $800 billion. With this IPO, it should bring him close to be the first trillionaire. So you could predict on this. I'd be curious to know when this jumped up so much. On like May 28th. So this was probably an interesting trade in May, based on what price the SpaceX was going to IPO at. You would have been able to buy yes that he was going to be above $800 billion for 31 cents. That was less than 30 days ago, and people knew less than 30 days ago that SpaceX was going to IPO. So yeah, that would have been an interesting one. Whoever did that was smart. All right, we're gonna exit the 2.4 trillion market cap. I wanted to do this sooner, but we're just gonna place it here. I have this already through another prediction, so I don't need to hold on to it. I'll just take the money off the table. Even though this one will be a little bit of a loss, I still have the prediction at through my brackets. And just like that, we're sold out of the 2.4. Again, I would have wanted to do that a little bit sooner. That was me being silly. I should have just had a market order ready to go. I did want to see how quickly it would go up or down. It actually ended up being pretty stable right out of the gate. The range since launch has been around from 150 to 162. So again, it's been pretty stable in this range. And it's been less than 20 minutes. So yeah, I'll hold on to my other brackets. I have my downside protected. I have my upside sort of lottery tickets there, and I have the brackets that should get filled as well. I was probably $150 loss on the 2.4 bracket, but if we end up anywhere in that in the $2 trillion range, the other brackets should cover that loss and some. So that's it for today. For now, I'll hop back in. I'll stream some more live if there's some huge moves or if I make any changes to my brackets or my predictions. But for now, this is SpaceX. This is SpaceX IPO. You just witnessed history in the making for space travel. I'm using Hyperliquid to be tracking this. Yeah. Should be pretty accurate compared to some of the other platforms as well. But we're getting a little bit of a bid, but not much volume here. We're getting a little bit of bid at $164 a share. Yeah, that's SpaceX Live IPO. My predictions are open. I'll hop back in if I change anything or if this starts ripping or starts falling pretty hard. But right now it seems to have stabilized a little bit. We're getting a bit of a bid here at 165. We'll see how high it goes. Will it make it to a $3 trillion market cap? Let's find out. I'll update you guys as it happens. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you guys hop into Hyperliquid and